I can't say I was too surprised when Kanye announced that he would have voted for Donald Trump had he voted for the election. First of all, I want to say, who gives a shit about what a guy says he would have done after the fact? I mean, we're really giving this a whole lot of weight, considering the fact that he didn't say he voted for Trump. He said he would have voted for Trump. Now, what I'm guessing is his whole point was simply within the outrage of his comment, the incessant booing and people getting up and walking out, and how he emphasized that there are people amongst his production staff that voted for different people, yet they were still able to come together to make that show possible. So it's in your outrage, it's in your disgust, it's in your collective sighs that Kanye is seeing the problem within the division of everything. But I guess the ironic thing is that he says, I'm on my Trump shit. So when you're on your Trump shit, we would all assume that you will do the following. You will be divisive and you will point fingers at your peers. You will blame them and say that they are shitty in a nice way in some cases. He takes aim at Q-Tip. He takes aim at DJ Khaled, Beyonce, Drake, Jay-Z, terrestrial radio as a whole. So I guess what he learned from the election is that you can go against people who are within your own circles. You can be nasty against them, but you can still achieve your ultimate goal, which I guess would be no different than Donald Trump going up against Ted Cruz in a nasty way, or Marco Rubio or Jeb Bush. He's on his Trump shit. Now, since you are pretty much witnessing the very first entertainer to be elected president, and when I mean entertainer, I mean primarily that's what he's known for. There have been several presidents in the past that maybe had appeared on screen before their presidency, but Donald Trump is an entertainer. That's basically what he did. He entertained his way to the White House. Now, Kanye sees that and figures, I'm an entertainer. So he only opens up the door for them. This is something that's so expected and something that makes a lot of sense, really. It's not really a question of whether I think Kanye is right or wrong with what he's saying. It's just the natural progression of things. If Kanye is a person who's been saying for years that he wants to change humanity and he wants to change the world, and then you have like somebody like Donald Trump who comes along, doesn't seem like he's fit for the position, doesn't seem like he is supportive of a lot of demographics within this country that make up this country. So he has all those negatives against him, and he still wins the election. Don't forget that, by the way. Most presidents that we've had in recent years have been lawyers. Other presidents have backgrounds in medicine. They have backgrounds in the armed forces. This is creating a wave now, and now entertainers feel like since there is an entertainer in the White House, now it's possible for them. I don't believe Kanye's looking at this as, oh, this is Donald Trump. He is a racist. He is a xenophobe. He's a misogynist. He's not looking at it that way. He's looking at it in the sense of this is somebody who accomplished something through speech. You would think that Kanye would have an interest in that, right? I mean, that's basically what he's built his empire on, is his right to say whatever it is that he wants. And I guess regardless if it's a blowhard like Donald Trump who's expressing the way that he feels, it's not really what's being said that Kanye's putting importance or giving importance to. It's the result of what's coming by way of that brash language. One thing that Kanye said that I don't feel it's really appropriate for him to say is when he said, black people shouldn't focus on race. I acknowledge that there is a huge amount of empowerment, or the intention of empowerment, when he says that. Don't focus so much on race. Race is a reality, but do not become a victim. do the things that you need to do and that you want to do, because you are not a victim. You are the master of your own universe, and no one can stop you. So it exists, but you don't have to focus on it. There's a huge amount of empowerment in that, and I believe that that's what he tries to convey when he says it. But there's only two things wrong with this. Number one, Kanye's not the right person to say it. He starts off a lot of his statements with good intentions, and then a lot of times they just go right off a cliff. I mean, you guys will remember like about, a month and a half ago when him and Kid Cudi weren't on good terms, and he's on stage and he's like, Kid Cudi, we're two black men in a racist world. And then his next fucking words are, I wore skinny jeans first. You can't take him seriously. How could I possibly take you seriously when that is the beginning of your sentence and then, or the beginning of your statement, and then you finish off the statement in a total fucking left turn? Now, the second reason why it doesn't make sense for Kanye to do this is because it's the timing. The timing of it all, everything is way too divisive. Nobody's thinking clearly right now. Everybody's still hungover because of the election. So people are just a little too passionate than they would normally be. And when I mean overly passionate, I don't mean that they care a lot. It's just a lot of unnecessary emotion being invested into all this, which upsets me on so many fucking levels. But Kanye, amongst a lot of things, he's always been a bit of a classist. He's always been this guy who wants to be a part of the elites. He believes in status. He believes in that. He may not be motivated by it, but it's a strong belief that Kanye has. Why else would you be this guy who has who's made himself successful in every way that you could possibly imagine, and still has an axe to grind and still points the finger at others who he sees or perceives to be above him in some way, shape, or form? This is the mentioning of Mark Zuckerberg. This is just a constant mention of fashion designers or fashion companies, and just feeling like he's just not getting his fair share. So he sees somebody like Donald Trump and he says, I can do that. And maybe this is the very first step towards that 2020 election. And that's not something that I say. That's not something that I feel good about saying. I don't feel good about the fact that it's a reality that in this world, Kanye West could be a serious contender for the presidency in 2020. Unless there's something that we've learned from the Donald Trump election, and something changes in some way, shape, or form, or we become desensitized to somebody running for president and saying outrageous statements. One thing that just wouldn't work is Kanye just totally being ideological about everything. I mean, I guess if he were to run for president, he would actually have to have certain specific opinions on worldly matters, and I'd really love to hear him express himself in that way. I mean, Donald Trump didn't have a fucking plan to save his life, but he could at least sound like he was familiar with trade. He could at least sound like he was familiar with tax and other subjects like that. Be a little harder for Kanye to convince me that he actually cared or knew about any of these topics. But again, it's all about selling yourself. And we saw somebody sell themselves, and now we're seeing somebody on stage that says, hey, I can do it in the same way that he did it. This is the same exact approach that I'm going to take. Now, you also saw the Kid Cudi reunion. He was on stage hugging with Kid Cudi. I can't take these niggas seriously in that regard. I just really can't. Whatever they have that's happening is obviously very personal. And even by Kanye standards, it's even just a little too eccentric for me to see Kanye on stage and hugging Kid Cudi. And they're having this personal moment that they decide to share with you on the center of the stage. And it's really quite awkward, and it has no place even within Kanye's weird, self-indulgent things that he does on stage. That should be completely outside of that, and that should be worked out amongst themselves. There's got to be a limit to some of this shit. What do you guys think? I know a lot of you are outraged. I know a lot of you are reacting to this in the way that the people in Sacramento reacted to it. Basically walking out and telling Kanye to go fuck himself. It's very ironic when an artist gets to the point where they feel that they have this, where they feel that they have the responsibility to share their deepest thoughts about serious social and political issues. It's very ironic when you go to a Kanye show and he's built himself up to be on this pedestal, and people simply go to a Kanye show for escapism from all of those realities that they are experiencing on a daily basis. And then they come to a Kanye concert only to find out that Kanye is just as upset about all this stuff as the rest of the world is. So what do you guys think? I want to know what you think in the comments section below. Please let me know, and I will see you guys next time.